Hello and welcome. So today we're doing something a little bit fun. And we're going to play with an API. There's no real aim for it at the end of it. We're just playing with something to see how useful it can be. So it's a dependency map application. And the idea here is that it will have a GitHub action in your Laravel application. And when you do a push to live, for example, we can take a snapshot of your composer.json file and send that off to this API. And what it will do, it will say that, your project and that application in that project has these dependencies, which are these license versions using these versions. Here's any potential security advisories on your dependencies. And here are the maintainers that you kind of rely on, as it were. So a lot of kind of fun API work and playing with a GitHub action to see how it works. So, have my coffee and let's see what we can do. I'm going to dive into the code to start with. This is a simple application. It is already on GitHub, so we can go to github.com, just Steve King, dependency map. So all of this code is going to be completely open source. I'm going to drop that in the chat now. So if you want to have a look at it, if you want to suggest something, if you want to play with it, all you need to do is set up a GitHub OAuth application. I've already done so. Laravel Socialite, set up some Laravel sales stuff, and away you go. The Laravel sales stuff is all set up. You've just got to install and set it up. The environment example has already got all the GitHub stuff. You just need to change this kind of callback here, because that's my personal one that I'm using. You just need to set your ID and secret, set the callback, you're good to go. And if we come to here, you can see we've got a login with GitHub. That'll do the redirect directories. Okay, so there's my first problem. I need to do my migrations. So migrate fresh and seed, done. Click it again, and we are logged in as just Steve King. So if I come over to Table Plus, what I'm going to be able to do now is create a new Postgres connection. This is the dependency map, local, Vassal default, sale, default password, database name, I believe, should be dependency map. Here we go. So test that, save, connect, users. I've got a user. Fantastic. So I'm logged in as just Steve King. So what I'm going to do quickly is close all of these, come over to config, because I've set up the where is it? I haven't published it yet. So a vendor publish, we want to publish with debug service provider config. So we can come down to here, and I just want to add the auth into the stuff down here. So auth, we're going to swap that to be true, so I can see the auth state in the debug bar. Click on that, I can see that I'm logged in here with a specific user. Anything else on here? Models, Livewire, models, yeah, we'll keep that for now, keep all of that. Not too bothered about mail right now. Session, not too interested in. Gate, I'll keep. We'll keep everything else that I can see so far. And there we go. So come back over to here. We're on 8.2.12. I just come over to here quickly. Locally, I am on PHP 8.3. So I'm just going to say composer sail down. And come over to my composer file, and we're going to just make sure that we're on PHP 8.3. Let's do a quick composer update to make sure we're checking dependencies. All good. We're going to do a composer bump in case we need to change anything, and we'll do another update. And while that does its update, we just need to come over to our Docker Compose and change this to 3 and change that to a 3. That will mean that we need to sail up -d build. So we want to rebuild our containers. We've got that new 8.3 running. And now if we refresh, this should now be on 8.3. If and when it connects, let's make sure that is actually working. We're going to come over to orb stack quickly and just make sure that that is running. Yep, all looking good. Let's just revisit that, make sure it works. No point moving on unless the application works, right? So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to basically create a simple endpoint that will accept a JSON payload, which will be formatted in the composer.json kind of structure. All right, well, that's taken a bit of time to load. So what we're going to do is we're just going to close all of this down, come over to our routes and our API. We're going to have a post request to not register. So we want to create projects. Let's do that bit first. Let's do some of the data modeling. So a make model project -mf. Then we're going to have, within each project, we're going to have multiple applications. We're also going to have a vendor model, a package model, version model, an advisory, and a maintainer. And there we go. That's how main data modeling kind of started. So if we come down to our database migrations, projects, we're going to keep this light and simple, nothing too crazy going on, to be honest. We're just going to keep it light and simple just so we can kind of get it up and running and see how it works. So obviously I like ULIDs, so we can drop that in there. This will obviously belong to a user. So we can say user ID, index, constrained, cascade, done. So project, all we're going to do to start with is just give it a name. We don't care about anything else. It just needs a name. So we can come over to the project factory, get this started. And we're just going to say model is project. The name is this Baker. We're just going to give it a company name. And the user it belongs to is going to come from that user factory itself. What we'll do is we'll just Laravel Python that one quickly. So that when we come over to here, we can say declare, not echo, declare some strict types. Make this a final class. Say that it has used, has ULIDs, billable. We've got name and user ID, public function user belongs to, return this belongs to, related user, and the foreign key is this user ID. Hypo central, just how we like it. So if we come over to that user class, we can just say that user has many projects. Keep this nice and clean, nice and simple, and nice and easy to set up. So the related is the project model. And the foreign key is the user ID. So we can set up some projects nice and quickly. Yeah, Composer bump. So what it does, if I just kind of run Composer quickly, We're just going to pipe that into grep quickly. So increase the lower limit of your composer requirements to the currently installed version. So it's just a nice quick thing you can do. So that's our projects, applications. Eventually, I'll add more information around this, but to start with, we're just going to capture a name, nothing mental. We want a UL ID for the ID, primary key. We're going to say table, foreign UL ID is project ID, index it, constrain it, and we're going to cascade it. Again, table, string, name. And what we want to do is table JSON composer. We're going to start that as nullable. So what we have then is, if we come over to the application factory, we can say declare some strict types, print that out, get rid of that, add that model in as the application factory. There we go. And we're just going to say that the name is this faker sentence, and that the project ID is for a project. Then we're just going to fix all of that quickly. Come over to here. They use has ULIDs. Add the fillable. So name, composer, project ID. The only thing we need to do now is add a cast for the composer. And we're just going to say as array object. Finally, we can just link that back to the project. Return this belongs to related project. And the foreign key is just the project ID. Come back to here. Each project can have many applications. Hey, Mark, how you doing, buddy? Applications has many. If there's any background noise, I do apologize. I do have the builders here at the minute. Just fixing some walls. Foreign key is going to be that project ID. Fix all of that. And that's the application and project all done, all modeled, all good to go. Vendor, we're just going to keep this really simple. Let's declare that, fix that. And for now, all we're going to care about is the kind of name or the string key. So what I mean by key, this is what packagist routes to, and this is maybe something else. It's something really simple. Yeah, family's really good actually. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, really happy. So as you can see, the vendors don't have any relations right now. It doesn't belong to a project, doesn't belong to an application or a user. It's literally just building up this map in the background. So declare some script types. And let's just add this model vendor. So name is this faker. We're going to say company. We're going to call that company there. And the key for this is going to be just a kind of slugified version of the same thing. In reality, we do want this to be unique. So we will add that here. And there we go. That should all work. Let's just fix that. Come over to the vendor. Use has ULIDs, available, name, and key. That is all that needs. Let's just Laravel Pint that one. And there we go. Vendor is all good to go. The next one is a package. So we're going to declare some strict types. There we go. So ID, primary. This is going to relate back to the vendor. It will index it, constrain it, and it will cascade it. Table string, name, table string, key. So again, much like the vendor, it's just how we're going to route things. Keep it nice and simple, nice and light for now. Eventually, I'll add additional data once I start digging into the API a little bit more. So now if we come over to this package factory, we can say declare strict type, remove that, drop that out of there, drop the model in, and just say package. So name is this Baker unique words as text. We're just going to save that as name quickly and then come down to the key and again do a string slug on it. There we go. We can now fix all of that. We can come over to here, and that is pretty much the same as vendor. App models vendor. It's the same thing as that. So now we can just fix that whole file, and that is pretty much good to go. The only difference here is that a package does have a vendor ID. So we want to say public function vendor belongs to return this belongs to where the related is a vendor class and the foreign key is a vendor ID. There's an extra space there, but I'm going to fix the whole file anyway. So I can come over to vendor and say packages. Packages, add many, return this, add many, where the related is a package, and the foreign key is vendor ID, sorted. So close all of those. And the last one is this maintainer itself. So let's come over and do this maintainer. Eventually, I will get around to kind of linking everything together in the way that I want it to work. But for now, we're just going to kind of scope it out, play with the idea, and see if we're going to work with it longer. So, name, table string, email. This is nullable. And table string, URL, which is also nullable. Yep, that should just about cover it. Maintainers are pretty isolated in terms of relations and what they directly relate back to. So let's just come over here, stick that over here a minute, and let's just kind of get this up and running so we can start getting into the actual meat of what I want to be doing. Maintainer class. We're going to say that the name is this Baker name, email, this Baker unique company email, and URL is just going to be this Baker URL. Done. So we're just going to format that one, come over to the maintainer, and just fill this in quickly. Use as URL IDs, start a fillable, and we're going to say name, email, URL. This could be notifiable. Probably won't be, but we're going to add it anyway, fix that whole file, and that is done. So what we're going to do is, for now, we're going to say artisan migrate B. So users, projects, user, foreign key, references, ID on a delete cascade. So let's go look at that projects table. Create users table, UL ID, primary. Try it again. There we go. So let's close all these. And there we go. What we have now is the database roughly set up how we need it. And I've got a couple of commands ready. So we've got a GitHub repositories one, so I can kind of list all of them once I've got an API token. But what I want to do now is work on packagist. So make command packagist and we're going to do something like fetch package data. Some of that. Packagist, fetch package data. Let's just kind of wrong button. Right, Laravel Pine, there we go. So packagist fetch. I'm just going to keep this as a our toy command that we can play with. Fetch package data from packagist. So what we will have is we're going to use packagist connector here. So what this is going to do is basically talk to the packagist API to get information about a specific package. So we've got package details, statistics, and security advisories. Now, I've done a little bit of work on this already, so I will walk you through it as I use it. Let's just fix that whole file. But what we need is we need a way to do this in a specific way. So packagist has got two different URLs. So what we need is a public static function public. This is going to return a packagist connector public function construct, and we are going to say that a private read-only string URL is going to be passed in there. So return new packagist connector where the URL is this. And then we're just going to return this URL there. That links all of that up. But the other ones that we get is, that's the package details. Here's a package statistics. So my microphone's in the way of my screen. So the other one is stats. So public static function stats is going to return a packagist connector, return new packagist connector where the URL is basically that bit there, like that. So what we're able to do is resolve the same connector in different ways. So package statistics will then just use that. Security advisories will also use that. And package details will just use the default. So if we just kind of close all of that and let's go have a look. Fetch package data. So the vendor we are going to check right now is, let's say Laravel. And the package, let's call it Breeze. So our connector is a packagist connector. And what we want to do is get that public one. So the response is going to be connector send new package details. Now the vendor and the package. Now that's going to annoy me. There we go. And we're just going to die and dump on that response JSON. So this is what we want to get. Packagist fetch. Bang. We got something. So, oh, that's a lot. Let's scroll. Here we go. Packages. So let's just do something like collect on packages. We have got one package with a lot of releases. So what it means we can do is just kind of scroll up. Here it is. Where is it? Okay, let's just reset that. There we go. And let's scroll back to the top so we can get the information we want. So items, Laravel Breeze, good to go. So we've got a name, a description, keywords, homepage, version, license. We can start to gather more information. So let's start by coming over to the package itself. So database migrations. So when we're building out package information, we can get the name, the key, table, string, description. That is potentially nullable because Composer does not require you to do it. We're going to say table, JSON, keywords, also nullable. Homepage is, I suppose, nullable as well. String, homepage, nullable. Anything else that's useful? License. So I'm not sure if you can add more than one license by default. I don't think you can, or I don't think you should, personally. String and license. License is not nullable. We want license. Authors, don't care about right now. Source. I suppose I could get the source. Table, string, source. There we go. Distribution, type. You can get the type, table, string, and type. We care about the type. And the time is when it was, I suppose, last released. You can get the auto load information, what it requires. So you can then say table JSON requires. Some things don't require anything. I'm not going to do the required dev right now. And then you've got releases, I assume. Yeah, releases after that. So let's go back to modeling. So factories, package factory, and let's keep this on that side. So we've got a name and a key. We're going to say description. This faker, real text, done. We're going to keep it simple. Homepage. We're going to keep this as a basic URL. We're not going to care too much about this, but this is how I like to kind of build applications: is build up the modeling as I need to. License by default, I'm just going to set to MIT. Source, we're just going to say this faker URL again. And type, we're just going to say project. So eventually this is going to be an enum, and this is also going to be an enum. So there's a type, and now we can say vendor ID is a vendor factory. So come back to this package, name, key, description, homepage, license, source, type, keywords. I didn't add keywords and required into the factory because it's just too flexible to model properly. So then we're going to say casts, and what we've got is keywords is going to be as a collection. We're going to just model that as a collection, and then required is going to be as array object. Awesome. So migrate fresh seed, that should all be good. So when our command gets all of the information that it needs, it wants to take this data and basically just save it to the database. So what we need to do, that should be an integer, and this should return command success. So what we need is DTO at this point. So let's go create a new directory. We're going to say DTOs, and we're going to create one called package. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to refactor that to name it something else. Package object. Done. Make sure I didn't rename that. Yeah, good. Cool. So public function construct. So what does a package have? Let's open up that package model and stick it over here. So we're going to have a private read-only string for the name. Private read-only string, null string for the description. Private read-only null string for the homepage. Private read-only null string for the license for now. We're going to change that to a enum a little bit later. Private read-only null string for the source. Source? Actually, no. License is required. Source, I'm also going to say is required for now. Private read-only. We're going to call that string for the type. Private read-only array for the keywords. We're going to make a read-only array for the required, and I'm not going to add the vendor there. The vendor will be kind of assumed or detected. So there's that. Let's then just fix all of that. What we then want is a public static function from array. That would be an array of data, and it will return a package object. Return new package object where the name is data something or other. Let's just go to, actually, no, it should be not right near the top. So package name. The description should be data description. The homepage is data homepage. The license is going to be data. Where's license? License. Here we go. first one. The type is going to be data type. The source is going to be data source. Keywords is data keywords. And required is data required. Make sure that all matches up. Source, URL, auto load, extra, where's the required? Require. And we're just going to sort those arguments quickly. So that'll give us that. So what we then can do is come back to fetch package data. We're going to collect that. And we're going to die and dump on package object from array. First. Let's see what happens when we do that. We get a failure. So let's work through these failures. Undefined array key name. So when it comes over to here, let's just do a quick die dump on that data. Data it's giving us is literally everything. Okay, so let's reset to make it easier to see. Fetch that back from the API, and it is giving us first is what I need to get. Okay, lovely. First. So that needs to collect for collection. Oh, messy, messy, messy. Okay, so let's just put this on separate lines. Data is collect. First. To array. Let's see what this does. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, can't call to array. Now we're getting somewhere. So now on this package object, if we delete that die dump, we should, in theory, be good to go. Bang. Required, we got a package object, which we can turn into a database thingy. Okay, so what we can then do with this is on this package object itself, I'm just going to tidy this up because it's going to really, really annoy me. I hate it when it does that. I'm sure there's like a PHP CS fixer rule for this. If you know it, let me know it. If you don't, never mind. So we're going to say public function to array. This is going to return an array. Return an array. So name is this name. Cool. Easy enough. Description is this description. Homepage is this homepage. License is this license. Source is this source. Type is this type. Keywords is this keywords, and required is this required. Then we're just going to fix our file quickly. So now that we've got this, we can say that our package is that. Once we've got that package, we want to save the package. So if we go to our database quickly, come to packages, we don't have anything. So what we should be able to do with this is, let's get a package object quickly. We're just going to make this public. So what we want to do is ensure vendor exists. So vendor equals vendor query first or create. That just accepts a name and a key. Well, the name is, we're going to go string of package name before last slash values key is there you go. Just standardize that a little bit. So there we go. That's a vendor. Then save the package. Package query update or create. The attributes is going to be the name, package name. That is kind of like the identifying factor when it comes to Packagist. And the values is package to array. Actually, no, it's not, because I also need to include that vendor. So package to array, and the vendor ID is going to be vendor get key. So we run that again. We got a failure, so now we can play with it some more. Oh, lots of fun stuff going on, lots of errors. We like them. Okay, could not translate host name. Okay, so sale artisan package ist fetch. Now we got a failure. Cool. Now let's have a look at what's failing on. Not null violation for key and packages. So let me just do it that way instead. No. Key. Key needs to be string of package name after last slash. We're going to make that lowercase, make sure it's a slug, and make sure it's a string. Now let's run it again. Now we're good. So now if we come back to our database, we have got that in there. Come to vendor. Yeah, I really need to buy a license for this. We do have Laravel as a vendor. Awesome. So that is that part. That all works. We are using that. What we next need to do is I'm going to keep it long form like this for now. I could tidy it up, but it's doing what it needs to. And right now, I've got other things I'd rather do with it. So once we've got all of that information, we want to get the statistics, right? So make a new command, fetch package stats. We want to get the statistics for a package. So now if we come over to the console commands, fetch package stats, I'm just going to copy that to copy across quickly. There we go. Packagist stats, fetch package stats from Packagist. So we're going to do the exact same package. So we're going to do something kind of similar to all of this. For now, we're just going to do that. And we're just going to say this will return an int and return command success. So Packagist stats, send a new package statistics. And that'll do the exact same thing. I'm just going to die and dump on that response JSON again. So now if we reset, we should be able to say a package ist stats go. So average weekly date, lots of stuff. Downloads, total, monthly, and daily. Versions, so we can get a list of the versions and we can get the downloads. So have we got a version factory? All we're getting is what we get in the version. We haven't done the version. How dare I? So let me fix that, because we actually need the versions. Packages have multiple versions. URL ID, primary key. We're going to table foreign URL ID this back to a package. And index that, constrained, and cascade. So table string version name, because it is a name. That is pretty much all we need for that. The versions, let's just delete that. Model is going to be the version class. The name is just going to be this faker semver. And then the package ID is just going to be package factory. Now let's just fix that with Laravel Pint. Come over to version, say that this has a URL ID. We will get more information on the versions a little bit later, but for now, this is going to be the start of it. So we've got the version name and the package that it belongs to. So we can say public function package. This belongs to. Return. This belongs to. Related is a package. And the foreign key is package ID. Come over to the package, and we can say that this has many versions. Public function versions has many. Return this has many. The related is version, and the foreign key is package ID. Awesome. Now, if we sail up as in migrate fresh, that database is all up to date. So drop that, package object, vendor, version factory, fetch package stats. So we've got this. So what we want on the package is, let's go get the stats and say table. Come all the way up here, and we're just going to say unsigned big integer default of 0. This is like what we want to start with. So we're going to get the total downloads. We're going to get the monthly downloads, and we're going to get the daily downloads. So all of that is now in there, which means that on our package factory, we want to say total downloads. We're going to say total, and we're going to say this faker number between 0. Okay, so int 1 is going to be 100, and int 2 is going to be 10 million. So the monthly downloads is going to be total divided by 2, and the daily downloads is going to be the total divided by 10. And there is that. So next we need to come to the model and add those. So after required, we got the total downloads, the monthly downloads, and the daily downloads. So in our casts, we want to say that that is an integer. This is an integer, and the daily is also integer. Fix the whole file. That is all good. So let's make sure all those changes are reflected. So when we get the statistics, what we want to do is find a package based on what comes back. So let's reset package stats. At this point, we should know what it is. So let's say to save this, we are going to do something like package equals no, package query first, done. Vendor is string of package name eventually to string before // done. And then the package that is after last. So at this point, this should still work. Sale artisan packagist stats. What we come attempting to read property. Okay, so fetch stats. Awesome. So we got one there. So next we can say package update. Okay, so we're going to call that model. Model update, where the total downloads is response JSON, which comes back as downloads total. So downloads dot total. Total. Got that in there. Monthly downloads, response JSON, downloads dot monthly, and the daily downloads is response JSON daily. Null pointer. Yeah, not too bothered about that null pointer right now. I know it is potential. So there is that. Then we want to say collect versions. Awesome. So we've got all of the different versions here. So now if we open up the version model and see what we need to add, name in the package. So then what we can do is collect, and then we're going to map over each string version, and we're going to say model versions update or create, where the name is version. So run it again. That versions, and we got lots of versions available for a package. We've got Laravel. We've got all of the no projects yet, but we do have packages. That's a good step forward. Next up, make command fetch package advisories, and we can work on that one. God, I love APIs. APIs are so fun. Okay, so advisories. What we want to do next is declare script types, and we're just going to fix that whole file there. That. Let's just kind of grab this stuff here, come to here, and we're just going to drop that in. Fetch package advisories from Packagist. So we're going to do something similar to stats. Just going to drop that. That can be kind of fixed up and tidied a little bit later. So we're going to grab this, come over to the advisories, and drop that in. Have I made that request yet? HTTP integrations, Packagist requests, advisories. We do have it. Perfect. So our response is connector send new security advisories, where the vendor is the vendor and the package is the package. Now let's just quickly do a die dump on that response JSON. Why is this complaining? Timestamp missing. Timestamp since now, I don't know. Sub-month. Timestamp done. Awesome. Stats advisories. Okay, so timestamp must be of type string. So what we're going to do is turn that into a string and get them. No advisories. How about for the last 6 months? Still none. 12 months. 24 months. Thinking about it. It is thinking about it. It thought for too long. Tick, 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 tick. Let's go see if we can figure it out. Okay. Security advisories for that, for this, since then, done. So, I mean, I suppose we could like drop that updated since, drop that timestamp, cancel that, drop the timestamp, come over this, drop that timestamp as well, and just see what it's got by default. Error occurred. So I might have hit a rate limit. It happens. So let's just make sure I'm not being blocked. Okay, so yeah, it's a problem with that URL. So eventually we're going to get advisories. We'll come back to it. So what we've got is a way to get data from packages with no problems. Nice and quick and nice and easy. What we want to do is have an API endpoint which will kind of accept everything that we might need. Let me just quickly check my calendar. Not to 12:30, cool. So we're going to have a post request to ingress. We're just going to call it ingress. Name, composer, ingress. Nice and simple. App, HTTP, controllers, API, ingress. We're just going to call this composer, actually. Ingress composer, ingress composer. Hey, JS, how you doing, buddy? And we're just going to create a quick composer controller. Public function invoke. For now, it's going to accept the request. And it won't return anything yet. So we can just quickly drop this in. Composer controller class. Just going to pull that in and just drop that down so it works. Cool. So when we ingress something, it's going to come to this composer controller and do its magic. So now make a request API ingress composer request. So we're going to inject that into here, which means I can delete that. So this composer request is going to be authorized by default. We're going to do some other stuff on this in a little bit later. But for now, we're just going to set out some pretty standard rules. So now if we go to composer or get composer schema, what we want to do is let's just drop this over to the left, toggle the full screen and stick this to the right. Keep that on the left. So composer should have name that is required, should be a string, minimum of 2, maximum of 200. We'll make it up. Description, again, required, string, version, should be admitted. Nullable, it should be a string. Type. Defaults to library. Nullable should be a string. So not everybody adds that. That's fine. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to start to create some enums. And we are going to create a new type enum. This type enum is going to be a string. Case library project case meta package case composer plugin. There we go. So come back to here. Type nullable should be a string. We do have it. We want it to be an enum of type. Keywords. This is nullable. If we do have it, it should be an array. Homepage. Homepage. Nullable. If we do have it, it should be a string and it should be a URL. Relative path to the README document. README. Why is it I keep doing that? Again, nullable should be a string if we have it. Release date of the version. I suppose we can have that. Time. This is nullable. If we do have it, this is go to the Laravel docs. There is a validation rule for this specifically. Validation. Available validation rules. There's like a date format or something. Date format. Date format. Date format. Format. Maybe something like that. Good afternoon. I mean morning. I mean something. You're in the afternoon. I'm not. Okay, so now license. License. License as a package can be either a string or an array of strings. I don't want it to be an array. I hate them. I'm going to make this required. I'm going to say it should be a string because I've never seen anything with more than one license. But I am going to start to create an enum for it so that I can start to map these out. So we have a case Apache. There we go. Apache 2.0. Strict types of okay. Cheers for answering that one, Ludovic. Case BSD_2. I'm just going to say BSD2 clause. BSD_3. BSD3 clause. Klaus. Case BSD 4. Clause. Case GPL2, which is GPL 2.0 only. Case GPL_3. I'm going to have kind of play around with these a little bit. I think 3.0 only. I'm going to find a nicer way to do this maybe. LGPL 2 is LGPL 2.1 only. Case GPL_3, which is LGPL-3.0 only, and then case MIT. There is actually one that isn't listed here. Which could be listed, isn't listed. Here we go, proprietary. I might need that later. So blah, 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 disjunctive. So separated or authors. Okay, next. License. Rule enum license class. There we go. So next, authors acquired array authors dot name acquired string. Actually, wait a minute. Authors aren't required, but if it is, okay. So make that nullable string authors dot email nullable string email authors dot homepage. I'm probably doing this bit a little bit wrong, but we'll figure it out as we go. String and a URL. Authors dot role is nullable string. Authors role, developer translator. Most people go straight for developer. So the name is going to be a min of 2 and a max of 255. I like to add this onto anything that's a string, personally. Just to give it a little bit more structure. I think there's like an array validation. Let me go have a look. Or is there an object? Because it will. No, it needs to be an array. Array. Haha. Blah, blah, blah. User array name. Blah, 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 blah. Validating arrays. Let's go have a look. Form request. Blah, blah, blah. Validating arrays. Nested array input. Needs a star. Star dot. Star dot. Star dot. There we go. Got what I needed. All right, there's the author stuff. Support. Best information goes about the support of the project. So, support is nullable, but if we do get it, it should be an array. Is there an object validation? Because that would be really useful. No, I can't see one. So I'm just going to stick with the array because it'll probably be passed as one anyway. So support.email nullable string email min2 and a max of 255. Support.issues. The composer spec is actually really interesting if you look at it. This is usually a URL, min of 2, max of 255. Support.forum Again, you know what? I'm just going to grab this because there's a lot of URLs in here right now. Bang. That's how we do it. Support.wiki. Again, URL. IRC. I'm going to drop the URL because I don't think URL works for IRC. Support.source. Again, a URL. Support.docs. Support.rss. RSS should work. Support.chat. Support.security. There we go. An example. Cool. Funding. Funding is nullable, but if we do have it, it should be an array. So that funding dot type is the type of funding nullable string min2 max 255. So there's different funding types. Technically, I'd stick with the basics, but you know, what can you do? Then funding.url is obviously a URL. So type of funding, e.g. Patreon. Okay, so I am going to create funding enum just because I don't think I know any others. So you can have Patreon. Did I spell that right? Patreon. Yes, it just looks really weird. Case open collective. Open collective. Case hide lift. Case GitHub. So they're the main ones. I mean, there could be others, but you know, this bit here, we're just going to set it. We're just going to do it. Enum funding class done. Let's be specific. Package links. Okay, so next we've got require. I don't think this is nullable, so I think this should be required. At minimum, you should have at least the PHP version it supports. It should be an array, and that's all I'm leaving it at. So require. How could I validate that nicely? Let's get an array validation. Username, user. Okay, so you can say it should have these things. Can I just do something like that? Oh, I don't know. I'm just going to accept it as it is, and we'll figure that out in a little while. So that's all of that. We can have then a require dev, which again is, I suppose, nullable. And if we do have it, it should be an array. Keep going. Next, we have got conflicts. This will not allow us to store together dependencies for the conflict. So we could have a conflict which is nullable, and if we do have it, it should be an array. Replace, again, nullable. If we do have it, it should be an array. And that's where you see stuff like replace if we go look at a specific one for github.com, Laravel framework. Laravel have one in their composer file. So if we come down to composer, require, replace. So self-version, blah, blah, blah. It's a good way to kind of build packages like this where you've got lots of kind of mono packages that you're caring about. So that's replace. Provide is another one. So you can provide like PSR interfaces and that sort of stuff. So again, this is nullable. If we do have it, it should be an array. Funding.type and funding.url. Did I not do that? Funding type, funding URL. No, it's a flat object style, so it should be fine. I think we'll find out. I'm going to send it something anyway. Go to retweet. Yeah, retweet. So provide, suggest. Suggest is again a nullable array. There's like a lot of nullable arrays. Okay, so not the nicest thing, but we'll work on it. So auto load should be either PSR 4 or PSR 0, or is it 2? Yeah, 0. So you got PSR 4 or PSR 0. So auto load, we're going to say that this is required and it will be an array. And auto load dot PSR dash 4, that is nullable. If we do have it, it should be an array. So then if we auto load dot PSR dash 4, things within there should, can we get down that low? No, we can't get down that low because we don't have a common key. So then we've got that auto load dot PSR 0, again a nullable array. So I'll have a look at seeing how we can kind of dive down when we don't know the key, but we'll come back to that maybe. And then we've got autoload.classMap. So autoload.classMap, again, this is nullable and is an array. And it should be an array of strings technically, but hey. Then you can got autoload files. Let me spell that correctly. Autoload.files. Again, this is nullable and is an array. Exclude from class map. So you can then go autoload.exclude from class map. If we have this, it should be an array of strings. Optimizing the autoloader, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay. Autoload dev. Oh my God, there's so much to do. Autoload dash dev. Quite okay, that's nullable because not everybody uses dev dependencies. We do have it, it should be an array. Okay, I've got to go in a second because I've got to go interview someone. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to kind of grab all of that. And we're just going to kind of repeat it, but we're going to replace autoload with autoload dev because they are all similar. So go past all of that. Target, I'll come back to all of this next time. I'm going to do another stream just for funsies. So I've got to go. Got to interview someone in 5 minutes, and I could really do with a coffee. So again, thank you for coming. Stay awesome. What day is it today? Wednesday. I don't think I've got anything around this time tomorrow, so should see you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.